Absolutely.
We suffer for you.
Mm.
And listen, by we mean we, the Power Hour. Sitting across from me is Bishop Dwayne David Royster.
And sitting across from me is the Reverend Dr. Mark Kelly Tyler.
And the glue that holds it all together is none other than the person that we call Queen Kawesa.
Kawesa.
Good morning.
Good morning.
What?
How are you today?
Doing okay. How are you?
I'm doing great because it's Friday.
Right.
Doing great because it's Friday.
Right.
I know you're probably glad it's Friday too. You were just talking about that yesterday.
Yeah, I'm super glad it's Friday. I'm ready.
I hear you. I hear you. How was your ride in today?
Oh, it was easy. It was smooth. There was no traffic, like really at all. There was, a couple knuckleheads though, but no traffic really. A little wet out there because of the rain last night. But it's not raining now, but I think we're going to get some thunderstorms, kind of throughout the day. So I feel like folks should be kind of prepared for that. So, bring an umbrella, be careful, drive slow.
Did you see any debris out there? Because a lot of people were talking about how heavy the rain was.
It was very heavy. I didn't really see a whole lot of debris per se, but, well, I guess I will say that in a few sewers that I passed, there was like a lot of not just trash, but like wood planks, like almost like construction wood or something like that was
wow.
like hanging out in some of the sewers. So I don't know exactly. I don't think there was construction where I was passing, so I'm not really sure how it got there. But I did see a few sewers that had some debris in it, but not really on the roads though.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, we are. Let me just tell you that you probably didn't see anybody, Kawesa, because everybody's at the shore. Or going the opposite direction today. I mean, it's supposed to be a beautiful weekend.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's
this
what I
is
heard.
like 88 tomorrow and sunny and no rain. I'm telling you.
Are you headed to the shore?
Who, me?
You, yeah.
Nah, not this weekend.
Okay.
Try to get some riding done if I can.
Gotcha.
I mean, this is, as we get back to quote unquote normal, all of a sudden now you got like a lot of church stuff popping back up on weekends. And
Yep, absolutely.
I tell you, it's like quote unquote normal.
Yeah.
Heavy week heavy month for church stuff. And actually heavy 2 months. Then vacation.
The month of August, when black preachers take off.
Yay, Lord. You got to rest that voice so you can keep that hoop going.
Oh, Lord.
Anyway, if you're on Facebook this morning or YouTube, hit the share button. Bring others into this conversation. And what a conversation we shall have today as we close out this week and kind of look forward to what's going on in the future. Did we talk at all about the Supreme Court yet?
No.
This week?
Nope.
They had an interesting decision yesterday. Was that yesterday?
I don't know. I didn't hear
I'm
about this. Wait a minute. You catch me off guard with something. Hey, man.
Yeah, so they sided. This was interesting. Let me just tell you, politics makes strange bedfellows.
Mm-hmm.
And I find myself in a very strange place this morning because before I even knew who decided what, I decided my feelings about this story that the Supreme Court rendered a decision on about federal cybercrime that involved a police officer who abused his authority in accessing a database to get information for someone who was offering him a bribe.
Mm-hmm.
And so as I read it, I'm like, what? I can't believe they didn't that they're siding with this guy. And turns out, man, I'm on the same side with Clarence Thomas this morning.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, my God.
Oh, it's going to really thunder now. I'm like, geez, wow. You and Clarence on the same side?
Well, let me just tell you who the majority is first, who voted in the opinion that I dissent with.
Mm-hmm.
Breyer, Sotomayor, Kagan, Gorsuch, Kavanaugh. And And also Barrett. Barrett, she wrote the newest justice wrote the opinion for the majority, 6-3. And so on the other side, you had Clarence Thomas, Samuel Alito, and John Roberts. And I must say that I actually agree with those guys. Pray for me, man.
Oh wow, that's deep. I'm looking at this now.
So, all right. So here's the story, and it'd be great. There are a lot of constitutional folk out there who really follow the Supremes, as they call them, and who love to write about this. So perhaps we could get somebody on next week to talk about it. In fact, we'll go through Nick's Rolodex when he's not looking. he's got everybody in there. So while you're perusing the story, so the Supreme Court had a case before it that essentially boils down to this. There's a cop who was bribed by an undercover federal agent. This was in Georgia. And he didn't know the guy was a Fed. And he basically said, hey, I want you to get some license plate information for me from this person. And, I need it for my own purposes. Now, the cop had access already to the database, but only for law enforcement purposes, not for personal purposes, and certainly not to accomplish the desire of somebody who's bribing him to look for it, right? Cop goes and gets the information. Of course, the Fed is like, ha, FBI, busted. So you would assume, wouldn't you, that the officer had broken the law and should be convicted for that? Would you not?
Right.
All right. And so there's a federal law, the CFAA, Computer Fraud and Abuse Act. And this is kind of what brought this into the Supreme Court's purview. Because the attorneys for the officer said that he already had access to the database. It's not like he went to his boss's computer and broke in and hacked it. He was using his own computer. He was using information that he already had access for. Yes, he was wrong for, accessing it the way he did, but it did not rise to criminal intent. Of course, the prosecutor said, "Are you crazy? He only did it because he knew, he's getting paid for it. That's wrong."
Right.
But what the Supreme Court has done is that they're beginning to narrowly define what actually constitutes computer fraud and abuse. And so the majority, those I disagree with, said that while this may have been wrong for him to do it, it is not criminal because he already had access to that computer and information. Now,
well, but he did break the law, though.
But they're basically saying, if you are, the precedent that they're setting is that if you have access, that, if you use it for whatever reasons, that it's not a crime. And so immediately I thought of this, which is, let's say somebody is looking at phone records or text messages. So there's somebody who wants someone's information for a political reason, or I don't know, like a jealous, lover or something. And you pay somebody in the phone company who already has access to that computer and information. By this definition, I guess the Supremes would say they're not breaking the law. Because the way they narrowly tailored it is, if you already have permission to use that computer, have access to that data, even though you are not using it for the right or expressed reason, then have at it. That's kind of scary.
Yeah, actually, I disagree with that. If you have access to certain things and therefore a set purpose and you can't use them outside that purpose, then the minute that you choose to use them for another purpose, it is illegal. And especially when some of that information is protected. Like that would be like somebody reading your healthcare records and then spreading it around to everybody. You can't do that. That's against the law.
Well, they might. So in that case, I bet you they would come back and say, well, that's a HIPAA issue. So
right, but is that any different than your driving record, which is actually confidential?
Well, this was license plate info, and so I don't know. I guess look, you're talking about
there are levels to this all too, I imagine. But
bro, if let's say you're like I don't know, let's say your profession is a hitman or a hit woman, You need to find out where somebody lives. I need that address. Here's a 50. Can you hook me up? You're like, I don't want to know what you're using it for, but here's the address. I mean, like, why would somebody want someone's license plate info? And this was a cop who did this, who clearly understood that his use of the computer and the information was strictly for law enforcement purposes.
Yeah.
And he violated that. I was just really shocked. And again, I think what shocks me more, honestly, is that I absolutely agree with Clarence Thomas and Alito. Oh my God.
That's going to be a very interesting day today. Then
I need coffee to wash that out of my mouth. Help me, Asa Khalif. Help me, Mabel. Help me, Bernita. Help me, Sheriff Rochelle, Tony, Kenesha, Raphael. I am here this morning agreeing, Wanda, with Clarence Thomas.
That is deep. That is very, very deep.
Well, as some folk would say, even a broken clock is right twice a day.
Yeah, there you go. Can we also just shout out Kenrick, Nikki O'Tim, and Denise815, who are checking us out on YouTube?
Absolutely. And glad to see Judge McCabe in as well. So, yeah, man, I just thought that was just an amazing, amazing story. And then also in the news here locally in Philadelphia, folk have been a little bit disturbed by what's going on. There you go. Yep, there we go. Casa who literally beat me to the punch this morning. I was just about to say this. Casa who said them cops prove they're part of an apartheid police force along with Facebook for allowing it to be posted. Well, I don't know about that part, but but reinstate another KKK in blue. Just about to talk about that story. So here in Philly, one of the officers who was fired for the Facebook post in 2019 has gotten his job back, and that story came out a few days ago. We talked a little bit about this.
Right.
And another cop who went before the same arbitrator, so the arbitrator is Timothy J. Brown. And so the details are coming out now about what happened in December with their arbitration hearing. And so when it came to former officer Farrelly, who used the name Daniel Mike for his postings, his firing was upheld. What's strange is that when it came to former officer, well, now reinstated officer, Christian Fanico, who went by the online name Chris Joseph, he was allowed to keep his job. Now, I've been thinking we should since they like to share it on social media, we should start resharing their social media posts. And because there are other cops now former cops who are in line to face arbitration to try to get their jobs back as well. So this guy his termination was reduced to a 30-day suspension, and he's going to get back pay. Or I should say, probably he's already gotten back pay.
Wow.
And he had a number of things, and I want to just read one of his posts, and we can then talk about it on the other side of the break. So Daniel Mike, his boy Farrelly, posted back in December 2015 a story about refugees from a Muslim country who had an issue apparently with the food having the Red Cross insignia. Well, they're Muslim. I mean, I got to imagine if you got some white evangelicals in the same situation and they're getting food from the Red Crescent, which is the Muslim version of the Red Cross, folks, but it has the Muslim symbol on it. I got a feeling some of the white evangelicals here would be like, I don't want food from the Red Crescent with that Muslim sign on it. It's kind of what people do, right? Sometimes people allow their prejudice to override their hunger, whatever. So my man posts, refugees reject food because it carries the cross of the Red Cross. If they do not want to adapt, let them go back to their countries. And then in all caps, stop Islam. Share if you are outraged that they want to impose their beliefs. Now, that was posted by the cop whose firing was upheld. But in the comments, The cop who got his job back, Chris Finico, comments saying, "Good, let them starve to death. I hate every last one of them."
Hmm. That's another cop
who got his job back. He's on the streets in Philadelphia that has, I don't know.
So Philadelphia has 400,000 Muslims in it. 400,000.
And apparently he hates a lot of them or every last one of them. Now, what he said in his defense, he said in arbitration, he was talking about hating the terrorists, not all Muslims.
That's not what he said.
Well, there was no talk of terrorists in the post. Well, there was the post right above the comment above his was blank these terrorists, they absolutely ravaged Greece. So maybe his argument was, I was referring to that comment, not the original post. And the arbitrator bought it.
400,000 Muslims in the city of Philadelphia.
He also said of the knockout game, you remember that, which was horrible. People going around knocking people out. Someone posted that. And he then said, you'd think after the Zimmerman incident, people would learn. Huh?
Yeah, I don't get that one.
After the Zimmerman incident?
That's dealing with Trayvon Martin. Yeah.
Huh? I'm like, what? I mean,
I guess is he saying that people are going to, just start defending themselves and shooting people? Is that what he was going to say? Is he trying to say that?
Trayvon wasn't knocking anybody out.
Trayvon was minding his business, going home. He wasn't knocking anybody out. So I actually pulled up the bio of the arbitrator.
Oh, good. Let's read it on the other. It's 6:22. We'll take a quick break, and we come back, and you may be able to even, we'll get into some of the questions on Facebook as well. But I think we need to start resharing what's on the Plainview Project. This is the Power Hour. Don't go anywhere. Hey, hit the share button if you're on Facebook.
For the past 10 years, Comcast has been helping students get ready. We've connected 5 million students from low-income families to low-cost, high-speed internet. We're working with both nonprofit partners and city leaders to create over 1,000 Wi-Fi connected lift zones in community centers nationwide. And now we're committing $1 billion to reach 50 million people with the connectivity, skills, training, and the resources they need to succeed in a digital world. Learn more at comcast.com/education.
The Black Words Book Club. Word Radio's conversation on books that explore the African American experience through social, economic, and environmental justice issues. Tune in the second Tuesday of every month on Evening Words with Nick Taliaferro, 4 p.m. till 7 p.m. The next book for June is Taught by Women, Poems as Resistance Language by Hakeem Adabudi. Be sure to listen live as Nick Taliaferro will hold a contest for a giveaway book bundle that consists of 4 titles from Kensington's Dafina's Authors of Color's newest release. Don't miss it, Tuesday, June 8th on Evening Words with Nick Taliaferro. Attention for Word members. Get your copy and receive a 20% discount when you purchase at Harriet's Bookstore or Hakeem's Bookstore. For more information on the Black Words Book Club, visit wordradio.com. The Black Words Book Club is sponsored by Dafina. Dafina is an imprint of Kensington Publishing Corporation, America's independent publisher, concentrating on authors of color.
Hi, Word family. My name is Kim Hall Jackson, and I am a colorectal cancer survivor. If I can convince one person to get a screening, then I know my voice is making a difference. Go to WURDradio.com and click on the Go to Know banner and get your Fit Kid test today.
Word Radio has partnered with the Colorectal Cancer Alliance, Independence Blue Cross Foundation, Penn Medicine, and LabCorp to provide a free at-home screening test for colon cancer. All Word listeners can register for a free at-home screening test as a part of the Go to Know campaign. This campaign is designed to provide African Americans with free testing for early colon cancer screening. Colon cancer can be prevented, and early detection saves lives. Go to wordradio.com and click on the Go to Know banner to request your free test today.
One thing we all have in common is aging. So age boldly by staying healthy, active, and independent. With Philadelphia Corporation for Aging, you can. PCA supports older Philadelphians with care in the home, nutritious meals, protective and legal services, and more. Through the pandemic, we safely helped older adults by delivering more than 2 million meals and easing social isolation. Get the help you need to age boldly and actively with PCA. Learn more at 215-765-9040.
You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent black media.
Welcome back to the Power Hour. This is Dwayne Royster along with Mark Kelly Tyler. We're here Monday through Fridays from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. to bring you the latest in news, happenings around Philadelphia, and of course, our opinions. And we have plenty of those to share with you each and every week. We're talking about the police officers who were a part of the investigation of the Plainview Project, who were fired from their jobs, who are now getting their jobs back through arbitration. And, you know, some of the things that they've said are pretty horrendous, including attacking the Muslim community, of which almost a fourth of Philadelphia is Muslim.
Yeah. I mean, think about that, right? I mean, this guy, again, the person who got his job back, in addition to all those things we lifted up, also said this about a mother and a teenager. So the story that he shared was about it says police brutality, handcuffed teen boy's face smashed when cops taser him. So stop for a moment. The police tasered a handcuffed teenage boy. He's handcuffed, he's a teen, and then he gets tasered. His comment on that post that he shared says, "Who cares? Kid and mom are scumbags. Good job, police."
Yeah, this is a problem. This is a very big problem.
Good job, police, for tasering a handcuffed teenage boy and smashing his face because he's a scumbag. I mean, look, I don't know the boy. Maybe he is a scumbag. But even scumbags have rights. And one right that a scumbag has is once you've been handcuffed, can't taser him.
Or put your knee on the neck.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you got to kind of put that in check. And if I have to tell you this, and you're a police officer when you're posting it, then chances are you probably are in the wrong profession.
Absolutely. Absolutely wrong profession.
You should be where we're sitting as an opinion talk show host. Scumbags ought to get tasered.
On a racist station, not on
right.
a station, but
right. See, as an opinionated talk show, you can say that and get away with that. Oh, he's a scumbag anyway. Taser him.
Mm-hmm.
But what you can't do is, as a police officer, go around talking about good job police for tasering, because what we believe is, if you say that, then you're probably prone to do the same thing. You have undercut your trust with the community that you're supposed to police. Therefore, you probably shouldn't be on the street. And yet, an arbitrator said, it didn't rise to the level of termination. Give him his job back and back pay.
And what about the trauma that's caused on the city of Philadelphia, particularly those residents whom they were attacking? What kind of back pay do they get? I'm just curious. What kind of security do they get at night, knowing that there's now a prowling racist on the streets? Just curious.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
I guess it doesn't matter. This is why the FOP contract is all jacked up, and we need to really get in there and dig that thing out and pull some of those pieces out.
Right.
I mean, I checked out this arbitrator. He seems all right. He's a lawyer. He's been practicing for about 30 years. I guess there's a whole arbitration industry.
Yes,
that he's a part of. Yeah, and he actually works in D.C. and in Philly, but he's based out of Philadelphia. Seems pretty qualified. He claims he's neutral. He's worked Democratic politics before. So he is, and he worked for the National Labor Relations Board. So he's done a thing. He worked for PHA for a while as the labor relations officer and senior counsel. Nothing unusual here.
Well, see, I am almost at the point where, so this is controversial, I'm sure, but I'm almost at the point where I would rather give the police officers the power to go on strike again, to abolish the union.
Arbitration.
Right. So, all right, so my man is back this morning. Joe Simmons is back with with this take, which is abolish the police. Well, how about this, Joe? How about if we abolish the police union?
Mm-hmm.
Because if the police department if it was a department that was fire at will, like most jobs in the state of Pennsylvania, happen to be, then the commissioner could get rid of people like this at will.
Right.
And now the reason we have Act 111, which gives the police so much power, the police union, is because people felt like at a certain point in the 60s that it's not a good thing to have police and fire ever be able to go on strike because it creates a big public safety issue. Now, I understand that about fire, absolutely, because you can't throw rookies in there and try to handle a fire. But think about the last big major things that have happened in the city. When the city uprising happened in June of last year, May and June of last year, when it happened again in October, when there were threats about the election, they had to call the National Guard in anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Even with 6,500 police, they couldn't handle it. So they had just called the National Guard. So I'm like, well, you know what? If they go on strike, just call the National Guard. It's kind of what y'all do anyway.
Well, they didn't really need the National Guard. It was overreach. And part of the National Guard was there because they were so busy trying to protect the Frank Rizzo statue. Notice there were no police around Octavius Cato statue, but they were all around the Frank Rizzo statue, right?
Yeah.
And they were more concerned about protecting the businesses downtown.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said yesterday, or it might have been another program I was on, I said they were busy protecting Market Street, but they didn't do anything to protect 52nd Street. And so that was all about property. It was overreach. And part of the reaction was an escalation of tension because they had all those National Guard on the street.
You're right, but am I missing something though? That if what you're saying is if your fear is the police will go on strike if, for example, they find their working conditions are intolerable or whatever else, and they want to go on strike to kind of press for a higher wage or whatever, and we're like, well, what will we do without the police? Well,
we'll find out.
Exactly, right. Like I said again, it's like, look, when you couldn't stop people from going in stores in the summer, what did you do? You had to call backup. Mm-hmm. So it's not like we don't have somebody we could call, because if what we are getting for so-called public safety is if the trade-off is they won't strike, I am saying I am prepared to let that go as a citizen. Right. Let you all strike as much as you want, and you got the right to do that as a union, like everybody else. But you negotiate the way that you have to. Like SEPTA goes on strike, and everybody else goes on strike from time to time. Strike if you have to, but we can't have this situation where arbitrators come in. And so the questions in the chat had to do with who picks them. Well, the city picks one. The FOP picks one, and then there's a third person who is assigned as a neutral one in certain cases. In other cases, there's only one arbitrator. It just depends on the particular part of the process. Mm-hmm. And like you said, this guy, look, he ruled in favor of the community, in my opinion, with one of them, with Fairley. But on the other side, he sided with the FOP, gave the guy a job back. I just don't like trusting the process to an arbitrator. If cops have said you're bad enough that you don't need to be a cop, you went through their process and their decision was to recommend to the commissioner that you be fired. Right. If cops said you shouldn't be a cop, you shouldn't be a cop.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. I think that is an issue that we have to deeply address. I think we get rid of the FOP. You get rid of the police contract. The police become at-will employees that can be fired without any special concern. I actually think cops might actually act better. I think
Yeah.
they think if the FOP is busy protecting them, then they can act any kind of way they want to, especially when you have a FOP president that thinks he's as powerful as the mayor. So I think you get rid of it, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. Oh boy. So give me your thoughts, folks. I'm looking at some of your comments on social media. Well, Andres Torres is going to let NWA speak for him. NWA said it best, according to Andres. If you don't know the reference, then, you Google it. Will Mega wants to know, what will City Council do? Good question. City Council, some folk would say that, that they have made some significant strides in the right direction, including the CPOC, the Citizens Police Oversight Commission, which will soon replace the Philadelphia Police Advisory Commission, the PAC. Sheila says, many cops don't feel represented by the FOP. They like reform just like the rest of us. Sheila, you couldn't be more right. You couldn't be more right. I know that to be true, having spoken to a lot of officers. And I think we mentioned this earlier this week, but let me just kind of say it again. We kind of implied it, but let me be explicit about it. The FOP has, as voting members, retired police officers who, in my opinion, shouldn't have anything to do with the running of the current FOP. So basically, you have a bunch of retirees who have nothing else to do but sit around the union hall, and they outvote, because you look and say, well, how could a diverse force like this, though it's getting less and less diverse if you look at recruiting classes, but how could this department allow a McNesby to continue on? And then it's like, oh, that's why. And so you're right, Sheila, the FOP, the fact that they decided to put their union office in the far northeast, about as far northeast as you can get if you've ever been up there, as opposed to where most unions in this city are, like in the heart of the city, in the middle of the city where folk have access to them, speaks volumes. And so, yeah, it's so many cops don't feel represented by the FOP. So I say to the police who don't feel represented, what y'all gonna do? We'll be your backup. Joe says, with the proper funding, we can police our own community. Yeah, I'm less inclined to see how that works. I'd like to believe that were true in a city this big. I think that's certainly true in a small place. A lot of these small towns, I wonder, why do you all have like 30 police cars out here? You got like 3,000 people in the city, in the town. Do you really need even one cop? But I hear you, Joe. I hear you. I just don't know what that looks like. Yes, Renee, they have a huge union hall. Wow, they have 3 banquet halls.
What are they celebrating?
All those parties when they get their jobs back. Yo, Chris is back.
A lot of people used to use their union hall when it was down on Spring Garden Street. My uncle had his 30th wedding anniversary down there, so I remember that very clearly.
Chris is back. We throwing a party for Chris. Which hall do you want, Chris? I want the chandelier, of course.
So they can swing from it.
Don't bring me no Muslim food. Let them starve to death. Really, Chris? I'm like, I got this badge number is there somewhere as well. I got to write that down because I'm telling you, I look at badge numbers now when people like pull me over. I'm like, yo.
Now, there is police hell, right? So we should be honest about that. Like a lot of times, some of these cops get their jobs back, and they're relegated to really meaningless tasks in the police force and are not allowed back on the street. That's not the case for everybody. Some of them are allowed back on the street, including, I think you remember some time ago, there was a lieutenant that during the Puerto Rican Day Parade attacked a woman on the street, beat her up. He got fired. He got his job back.
Yep.
But they wind up in police hell. But nevertheless, you're still paying their salary. You're still
Yep.
paying their pension. You're still paying all their benefits. And they are actually able to take vacations on your dime. So even if they're in police hell, that doesn't mean that we should be paying to support them in their various roles.
Nope, that's exactly right. So Denise 815 says, "Hey, totally agree with both of you. Get rid of the FOP." Now so you know, Royster, we have not quite figured that part out yet. But you know, the FOP, it's not like God dropped that from heaven and said this must be the bargaining unit for Philadelphia police.
Right.
The Philadelphia Police Department can actually get a different union to represent them. They could decertify. There's nothing even says they even have to have a union.
That's correct.
And it's just we've kind of gotten into a place where we just feel that that's the norm. Now, I will say that this kind of thing right here, what we're talking about, because if more of these cops who have done equally egregious things get their jobs back, you're going to find a lot more support continuing to erode from the police, as though it's not bad enough as it is. And where they think right now they're standing on solid ground, eventually the bottom may fall out. And I'm just saying that to walk around with the attitude that we're going to always be the union for the police, I think is a big mistake.
Right.
And it's kind of like Netanyahu over in Israel. We talked about that yesterday, that, at a certain point, your particular leadership is doing you more harm than it's doing you good.
Absolutely.
And if you don't adapt and get with the times and support the community and say, look, we are for the police, we're here to represent as a union, but we're not for people abusing their power, we're not for people abusing people, we're not for people posting things like this, and some things we're not going to stand up for. If you did that, people would be like, well, you know what? I get that they're going to stand with their guy 9 times out of 10, but you got to give us the 1 out of 10. And that we don't even get. We got to take a break. It's 6:42. When we come back, we'll look forward to what's going to happen over the weekend and next week as well. This is the Power Hour. Don't you move.
Stage Door, focusing on arts and culture in and around Philadelphia. Hosted by Tiffany Bacon and co-moderated by Jeffrey Page of the Philadelphia Theater Company. Part of The Source, Fridays at noon, exclusively on WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Streaming live on WURDradio.com, the WURD Radio app, or watch live on WURD TV via Facebook and YouTube. Sponsored by New Voices sponsor Comcast, NBC Universal, and Pico.
Olaniyan Adefume's goal is to assist families and students that are tired of the destructive input by the coronavirus. If you are interested in a math tutor, Olaniyan is offering small, reasonably priced classes that will focus on the PSSA test. Classes start June 21st. The students will have lessons, tests, homework, and a textbook to keep with PSSA exercises and explanations. Knowledge is power. Call Olaniyan Adefume, 215-678-3830 for pricing information and location.
This is not a fad for us. We will not resume our regular programming when things die down. We're not black to help our bottom line or because it's politically correct. We're not joining a fight. This has been our fight, our message, our people. Black lives have always mattered here. We are undeniably, indefatigably, unapologetically, permanently Black Talk Media. WURD.
Equitable Advisors Financial Professionals know the path to a fulfilling future begins with getting to know who you are and what matters to you most. They work with people as individuals, not dollars and stats. That's how they deliver on their mission. Talk to your local Equitable Advisors Financial Professionals, Ryan Smith and Jacob McCoyo, at 800-879-9016. Together, you can plan for a future that reflects all of who you are. Equitable Advisors, LLC, New York, New York, 212-314-4600, member FINRA, SIPC.
One thing we all have in common is aging. So age boldly by staying healthy, active, and independent. With Philadelphia Corporation for Aging, you can. PCA supports older Philadelphians with care in the home, nutritious meals, protective and legal services, and more. Through the pandemic, we safely helped older adults by delivering more than 2 million meals and easing social isolation. Get the help you need to age boldly and actively with PCA. Learn more at 215-765-9040.
Now, a traffic update on WURD Radio.
Good morning. This report's sponsored by Panera. Looking at the Schuylkill Expressway eastbound. A little slow past Young to Broad, westbound same stretch. Broad to past Young, busy through construction. West of that, you're jammed from South Street to the Vine Expressway. An accident there, now off to the right. Westbound Vine Parkway through the Schuylkill Expressway. A bit slow southbound Boulevard. Delays building Broad down to Fox through construction. Southbound 95, jam Cobman to Bridge through that work zone. Again, delays Allegheny through Girard. Northbound looks good. 55 northbound building north of Deptford now into 42. At Panera, dinner is hot and ready to serve. Grab the creamy mac and cheese and a bread bowl, the classic bacon turkey Bravo sandwich, or try the new Chipotle chicken and bacon flatbread pizza. Order for dinner tonight with delivery or pickup. Availability and pricing may vary. For more traffic information, log on to sigalert.com. Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
Now, a WURD Radio weather update. Here's NBC 10 First Alert meteorologist Steven Sosna.
Happy Friday. The weather picture here today, a little bit changeable. We'll see a mostly cloudy sky here during the morning hours, a spot shower or two, but the bulk of the morning rain free. As we climb to lunchtime, temperatures in the lower 70s. This afternoon, look for a mixture of clouds, some sunshine, but also a couple of gusty storms rolling through the area. It'll be hit or miss with a high temperature of 80 degrees. Tonight, nothing more than a leftover thunderstorm, a low temperature down to 65. Over the weekend, find a way to beat the heat. It is going to be hot. Sunshine on Saturday up to 90. We'll be in the lower 90s on Sunday, and that heat continues into early next week. I'm NBC 10 First Alert meteorologist Steve Sosna.
You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent black media.
Welcome back to the Power Hour. This is Dwayne Royster along with Mark Kelly Tyler. We're in our last segment for the week. We have spent time talking about the Plainview Project and police that were thrown out of their jobs because they were putting racist, sexist, homophobic, anti-Semitic, anti-Muslim pieces out on their social media, and they're now getting their jobs back with back pay and all kinds of perks.
Party in the union.
Yeah.
Woo-hoo! Chris is home.
Mm.
I wonder if they do like a party for him, like, you know, brothers come home, you know, big sign. Where you been, Chris? Chris been away. Chris been in school. Chris been in school. Chris, where you been for 2 years, bro? I ain't seen you since 19. Man, don't ask Chris that. Chris been away.
Yeah.
That'd be just my luck one day I get put over. It's Chris. I'm like, oh, crap. For Nico? Oh, man.
Yep.
Luckily, I'm wearing a cross today. I mean, that's what I want to talk to. Like, how do you feel if you are a Muslim in this city, given that? You know what I mean?
Right.
Given a person who wrote something that could be interpreted, the arbitrator believed his take that he was only talking about terrorists. Mm-hmm. But it could also be interpreted that you were commenting on the original post by and agreeing with the person who wrote it that said stop Islam when you said good, let them starve. I hate every single one of them.
Right.
I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I think that was a revisionist statement after the fact, after he got fired, that he was like, his lawyer was like, just say it was the line before that you were referring to and not the one. Because you could actually reply directly to the line before, and I don't think he had replied to the line before. I think it was a reference back to the original post.
Yeah, so, he's like, who, me? Oh, no, y'all misunderstand Chris. That ain't what Chris meant. He probably went off third person on him. Chris don't get down like that. That ain't what Chris meant.
You can hit reply to the particular. Chris, let me help you out. Hit reply to the particular post that somebody had made, so that they know that you are directly responding to them, and then not responding to the original post in the first place.
Right. Yes, that's right. Put the reply in that comment.
Yes.
And then good, let them, terrorists, starve to death because you hate every single one of them.
So I got a question. Does he not like white supremacist, domestic terrorist too? I'm just curious. I'm just asking for some folk.
First of all, I must correct you. There were no white domestic terrorists. There were only tourists.
Okay, that's the revisionist Republican history, but does he not like white supremacist domestic terrorists as well? I just want to know, because he said he doesn't like any of them. So I'm like, who's he referring to? If he's referring to all of them, then I mean, maybe we can find some middle ground somewhere.
Your Honor, I just got caught up. I don't know what happened, Your Honor. I got caught up. The spirit got me, and next thing I knew, I was in Nancy Pelosi's seat with my feet kicked up, smoking a cigar. Your Honor,
and taking her mail, and taking some of her mail with you, right?
I need a vacation to Mexico, Your Honor. Can I just go to Mexico to clear my head before this trial?
Absolutely. Go ahead. Do what you got to do. Your staff shouldn't suffer for your bad decisions.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you. It's been rough on me. You don't understand, Your Honor. It's hard out here. Jesus, man. Are you kidding me? This is what we got to deal with?
Yes.
Folk getting their jobs back after. I mean, if you can't get fired for that and you're a police officer, what gets you fired?
Well, I mean, it'll actually be interesting, right? Because there was a Philadelphia police officer that was at the insurrection.
Yeah.
I believe it was a woman, because she was actually on the recruitment team, which might explain why the police department's most recent classes are all very white. They claim they're having trouble recruiting black people.
Oh, you know why? Look at your social media posts. Who wants to be a black cop wants to join this force? Are you crazy?
Absolutely not.
Like, are you serious? I mean, let's just take a look at some of the. Go ahead.
No. I agree with you. I think there's a whole lot of reasons that black and brown folk don't want to join the Philadelphia Police Department right now, and they're very legitimate. And I just think, we should have affirmative action quotas. You can't have a class until it's 50% black and brown. And that way, it'll just stop a whole lot of police activity right now. But anyway, let me go back. So the woman was a recruiter for the Philadelphia Police Department who was down there for the day of the insurrection. I believe she has lost her job, but, she's probably going to get it back and through this arbitration process, because she's probably going to say, I didn't go inside. I was there extending my First Amendment rights, and I did not go inside the building. Yep. So, that is just, but I'm just curious if Chris has a problem with white supremacist domestic terrorists. That's all I want to know. Just tell me that.
Well, interestingly enough, one of the cops, I'm not sure if this one was fired. I'm just in the Plainview Project looking at the Philadelphia Post. One said, how long, this is 2016, to your point, boy, how long until a law-abiding, gun permit carrying Trump supporter decides his life is in danger and blows away one of these domestic terrorist Democrats?
Democrats are domestic terrorists now?
This was in 2016, in June, written by a Philadelphia cop.
It's sort of like this. It's sort of like, all the people that were worried about voter fraud, and then all of them turn out to be Trump-supporting Republicans. Every single one of them that's done voter fraud, Trump-supporting Republicans. I'm sorry. Everybody was worried about the Democrats. They were worried about black folk. They were worried about brown folk committing voter fraud. And every person that has been convicted of voter fraud has come as a result of the fact that they are Trump-loving Republicans or Trumpicans that were trying to cheat to make sure that their guy got back in the office, but they were always pointing the attention towards everybody other than themselves.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
Yep. So that's exactly right. I'm looking at some of the comments here. The Plainview Project, you can find it. It's still online. It's Plainview Project, and that's PLAIN, like out in Plainview, plainviewproject.org. And you can look, I think they did a study on 8 cities, 4 large, 4 small to medium around the country. And it doesn't take long. Once you just go through the Philadelphia posts, and
I got to hit this. Joanne Kemp on YouTube said the tourists were suffering from foxitis. Do you remember a case a little while ago where a boy was being charged for doing something, and they chose affluenza as affluent, and he got off.
Yeah.
He got off because of that, right? So they were suffering from foxitis. Maybe that's going to be their defense when they start going before these federal judges. They were suffering from foxitis.
Your Honor, I listened to Bill O'Reilly so much, I believed it.
Tucker
and when he
Carlson
left,
as well.
and when he left the station, I was in a fog. I don't know what happened. I just got caught up.
One of these days on the show, we'll have to talk about my debate with Tucker Carlson on his show. When I actually went on Fox News and took on Tucker Carlson.
Yeah, I mean, now, Miss Allen, and we can leave it here and maybe talk about this later next week, but she makes a good point, which is, I just paraphrase and boil it down to, we do need some black folk who really have a good heart to apply and become police officers, because the last recruiting class, I think they took through a class that had 0 black people.
Yeah.
Which was unbelievable. But I get it. I'd have a hard time wanting to be a Philly cop given the kind of workplace that we're understanding exists. But look, somebody's going to do it. Somebody's going to do it.
Right.
And so we got to fix it. And we can't just simply, turn our backs on it, which is why we lift it up so much. And unfortunately, that's all the time we have. But in spite of this, I'm going to try to have a good weekend.
Well, you too. Well, listen, everybody, thanks for checking out the Power Hour this week. We really appreciate it. It was an abridged week because we had Monday off. So we only have 4 shows this week. But I will be back today at 5 o'clock with Amadi Braxton for Solutions on WURD from 5 to 7 p.m. So please check us out then. But listen, thank you, Dr. Tyler, for everything you do. Thank you, Koisa, for holding down the boards and making sure our show is live and ready. Thank you to everybody that's listening to us on the air, on the app, through Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. And you might even be listening to us through Alexa. Hey, Alexa, turn on WURD Radio. Listen, we appreciate everybody that's commented for the show, and we're really grateful for that. Stay tuned now for Wake Up with WURD with Solomon Jones. And do us a favor. Go out, change the damn world, because if you don't, nobody else will. Peace.